And welcome back to Straight Talk. So just before the break, we were discussing the home invasion situation, and we had mentioned that it's not the first time. There's so much crime that goes on in this community, and people aren't aware of it, or some of them aware of it. But it seems like in this situation, because it's new and somebody took the ball and is running with it, and now is, I guess, trying to get the community to figure out how can we resolve some of these issues.
I think the important part is that it's coming from like the community, so it's going to be a more of a homegrown grassroots movement to make the community safer. And I know some of the options that were thrown out were like I've heard people talk about like checkpoints, reinstituting the former checkpoints at all the in and outs of getting into the community. Also, one of the other options was like what did they do? A neighborhood watch.
Yeah.
A neighborhood watch, I think, which is a lot more feasible, which is kind of what we should be doing anyway.
Exactly.
Maybe in a little bit more of an organized fashion. Yeah. But I know that there's also, I mean, as individuals, we need to also be, to bear in mind that there are going to be people say like, I don't want you anywhere near my house. I don't want you to take part in it. I don't want to take part in this. I'm safe. I've got my little my little bubble. We have to take those people into account as well.
What I spoke to you earlier on when I was texting you, asking you about who was there and different things like that. When it happened, the first part I was away, and then the meeting last night. I had my kids that I couldn't get a babysitter, but I wanted to go. I wanted to see what the atmosphere and how things were, and who was there, and who's representing who, and how are we going to help. I think I haven't really followed it because I was away, but I haven't heard anything, unless it's been out there, from the Mohawk Council and or the police. What are they saying?
Well, MCK had there was two chiefs there last night. They weren't representing council. They were there as community and community representatives, just individuals, and a peacekeeper also. And they had input, but they're not coming from a standpoint of officially MCK or peacekeepers. But I'm sure the community meetings coming out, that's on the agenda. Is this situation was put on there recently?
I think that in any situation, I think this was the prime opportunity though for either or to jump on this and at least try to tell the community that we're still a safe community and that there's measures that are in place that to try to prevent some of this, and this is what we're doing right now, and we're more vigilant. We have more people on. We're all those things to make us feel safe.
People need to hear and be a part of specific actions, okay? Because we can't really say the community is a safe place. We could say it's relatively safe.
No, I understand.
But people, aside from that, they want to know what are we going to do? Yeah. What is going to happen so that this doesn't happen again?
And it's good that the community is starting to do that, but.
And it's the community doing it. It's not initiated by council or MCK. It's a community member who brought this forward.
Yeah.
And I understand.
And it's that community members that are going to the organizations and saying, and like you said, it's a unique opportunity for them to step up.
And they need to do that.
They need to step up.
I think that in the past, that happens. It hasn't happened in a long time. And I think that's where people are afraid. Are still. My next, my neighbor is selling cigarettes, and I'm quiet. I don't bother anybody, but they're bringing this into my neighborhood. What are we doing? Why is this happening? I'm just as vulnerable, even though I'm not in that business. How come, why is all these people around my house? I have no choice. There's nothing I can do about it.
You know, and that's the thing, is the discussions have been like, if only, you know, so-and-so had been there, if so-and-so. But that would have
Coulda, woulda,
been
shoulda.
gunplay,
It's too
start
difficult,
shooting,
yeah.
and somebody walking by, driving by gets shot and everything else. Now, just, again, this is not officially confirmed, but I understand that, say, the day before, the night before, somebody in the neighborhood did notice a vehicle parked outside of that particular home and notified somebody, and apparently the PKs came and told them to move along.
If that's accurate, I've heard different stories, and you know, but
yeah, but
I
it
think
would seem to
people are just
indicate
speculating
anyways
a lot of the situations.
that there are people, you know, that do look out. You know, it's funny because I talked to one time my late mother-in-law, and she talked to her because she actually grew up in the city, and when she first started to come back to town, as her mother was from Kahnawake, there was one thing she commented, that people, you walk down the road and people look out the curtains, people look out. And it's not the first time I heard, but people used to be vigilant
And watch out
about
for one
who's
another.
in town. But but Kahnawake is so much bigger now, and I don't know if a lot of that is still there in terms of. I think so.
You know, it's funny because I think it was on one of our last shows, where, you know, within the 2-3 shows ago, we were talking about that. You know, if there's a truck parked in your yard, remember that conversation? And somebody's filling it up, you know, go and check. I mean, either you're moving or somebody's robbing your house, you know, and we're not doing that. You know, when we had this conversation, and unfortunately this is something similar, but 1 o'clock in the morning, it's a little more difficult, especially if you have a residence in the community that's operating within those hours normally, and there's cars coming and going. You sort of get complacent in that situation, and you don't take a second look because people are going in
And then people are going to turn around and say, "You're just being nosy," you know. But on the off chance of maybe 9 out of 10 times, yeah, okay, it's like nothing untoward is happening. But that 10th time, when somebody is actually being hurt or actually, you know, something is going wrong.
I see things with a different set of eyes, you know, than a lot of people. When I see cars that aren't from there, and I do a plate thing, I do car colors, I do vehicle makes and models.
I'm always I'm looking at the time, okay, this is such a time.
You know, but I do that naturally because of
your background.
Because of my background. So, you know, and it's strange because I may not. This is a prime example. A couple of weeks ago, I was passing towards the cemetery, and I seen a van parked on the side, and I seen a woman, and she was lying like this, and I went home, and I was talking to Regan. I said that there's a cop parked over there. Is there? No, there. Yeah, didn't you see that van? And I didn't stop, but And then somebody on Facebook said there was a cop taking pictures, and they chased him out of the community.
So you were right.
But I picked it up as I was driving, and I even slowed down and I looked at the woman, and then she sort of like.
Yeah, well, as a trained person.
But you know, so it's people see stuff like that all the time, and they don't do anything about it.
Or they don't think about it even.
But I think the average person is just shy too about just approaching somebody saying, "Well, what are you doing here? You know, what's your business here?" People have to be a little more bolder because it is in our best interest to see who's here.
I have some on occasion say go on the island, and then find people engaged in whatever they're doing there who are not from town, and I said, "Do you understand you're not supposed to be here? It's okay. You know, like you guys want to move along or what?" No, it's true. No. So far, I've been lucky. I've had complaints.
Move over this way to get the light better? No. Okay. Well, with that, we're going to take a bit of a break, but we will be back with more discussion here on Straight Talk.